Fish on.
Really nice looking fish.
Woo! I love it. That's a hog. Woo!
Oh yeah, bring him up to me. It's a nice fish.
Nice job. That is a tank.
Nice job, you two.
Lund Boats proudly presents the ultimate fishing experience. This week on Lund's The Ultimate Fishing Experience. Colleges around the country award scholarships to students for many different sports. Today, some colleges have scholarships for those who excel in fishing. There are over 250 colleges throughout the U.S. that have a bass fishing team. Two such anglers are Bailey Bleser and Tyler Christy, fishing for McKendree University in Lebanon, Illinois.
Man, that's a fun bite. That is a fun bite.
We joined Bailey and Tyler on Lake Geneva in southern Wisconsin on a rare day off from the classroom and tournament trail to talk about what it's like to be on a college bass team, some of their favorite techniques, and, well, to just catch fish.
All right, we're getting there now. Another thing with tungsten is you can see how much smaller that head is. That's still a ½ an ounce, but it's just heavier and more compact.
Had to move out really deep to go get him though on some offshore gravel bars. Stuck that jig in our hand and it worked out well.
I'm Bailey Bleser here with Tyler Christy. This morning we're gonna be going out on Lake Geneva here in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. We're gonna be doing some bass fishing. Lake Geneva is a great smallmouth bass and largemouth bass fishery. We're here in mid-June, so we're freshly post-spawn. The fish are gonna be up, they're gonna be feeding, and hopefully we're gonna catch a boat full of them.
Let's go get them.
Lake Geneva is it's a hugely popular recreational lake here in southeastern Wisconsin. So on the weekends it can get really crazy, but we're out here on a Monday, so the fishing should be great, the boat traffic should be to a minimum, and hopefully we can catch a few good ones. There's a lot of fish that have just gotten done spawning in like the last week. The water's in that 65 to 67 degree range, and they're pulled up shallow. There's a lot of largemouth up on docks, but there's also a good majority of fish that are making their way out to the deep drop-offs and deep like summering holes. And we're gonna be throwing stuff like ½ ounce football jigs at them and stuff that we can get down buried in that weed and like stroke it out, rip it out of that grass, and it's mainly a reaction bite. They'll grab that jig when it comes out of the grass, but
yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully we can get on a few good largemouth, maybe a few good smallmouth too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot of the smallmouth are starting to, they chase ciscos out suspended over like 100 foot of water, so they can be hard to find this time of year. So it's mainly targeting largemouth now, but we have been crossing paths with a few good smallmouth the last couple days, so hopefully we can get a bonus smallmouth in there. You kind of just have to cover water on these flats, and you just run into a few here and there. Eventually you'll find a little sweet spot.
There he is.
Oh,
A little largemouth.
on a ½ ounce football jig. Well, that's a start to the morning. See if we can get some bigger ones. So we started off the morning on some shallow dock stretches, and for some reason it just wasn't setting up right. We had to make a little adjustment. So we're out now, we're in like 10 foot of water, 10 to 12 foot of water, and what it is it's just a big grass flat. And these fish spawn up in the shallow area out in front of this grass flat. And once they're done spawning, they kind of transition out to the deeper water, which there's a bunch of ledges like out this way. And they're just cruising in this grass flat, and what we're doing is we're throwing a ½ ounce football jig, and you just drag it along, and you'll feel it get like all wrapped up in that grass. And when you do that, you just give it a couple pops, and it rips right out of that grass, and it falls right in front of their face, and they come and grab it.
It's a little better one.
Yeah, we're getting there now. Right when I snapped it out of that grass. Look at that. They're eating it good. All right, we're getting there now. All right, so when we're fishing these grass flats, basically what we're doing is just covering water, keeping the trolling motor around 7 or 8 and just going. So we're looking for a good pot of fish that are grouped up in a little pot of grass.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly.
Lake Geneva is it's a fairly big lake located here in southeastern Wisconsin. On one side of the lake you have downtown Lake Geneva, on the other side is Fontana, Wisconsin. It's 5,400 acres. It's a fairly deep lake. The max depth is 135 feet. It's a very diverse fishery. We're out here bass fishing today. There's a bunch of largemouth, bunch of smallmouth, and there's also lake trout in it. There's a good population of lake trout. They're stocking muskies in it. It's got northern pike everywhere. And it's also not uncommon at all to come across 30+ inch walleyes. Outside of fishing, it's also a huge residential lake. So you can see all the docks all around us. There's docks that cover the whole lake, and it's a vacation lake mainly. So you get a lot of boat traffic on the weekends and a lot of people that enjoy the water for other water sports besides fishing, such as tubing, wakeboarding, all that good stuff. Got a beer and everything.
I know.
There he is. Attaboy. Oh yeah.
That's a good one. Oh. Ooh. Come on now. Stay in the boat. All right, there's another good one out of this grass. Man, that's a fun bite. That is a fun bite. Let's get back out there.
Another one there on the jig.
Found a little pot of them.
So you can tell they just got done spawning. Look at that, they're getting it way down in there. Just a 1/2 ounce. I'm using a tungsten football jig. You can use lead as well, but what I like about that tungsten is you're able to feel everything, like the bites, everything's just amplified. It's a lot more sensitive, especially when you're around gravel or something like that, or even weeds, when you can really feel it get clumped up in those weeds, and that allows you to know when you have to pop it out of there. Another thing with tungsten is you can see how much smaller that head is. That's still a 1/2 ounce, but it's just heavier and more compact. It's just a smaller profile, which these fish they get a lot of pressure out here on Lake Geneva. So a smaller profile just gets you more bites. Alrighty, we're just gonna make a quick little adjustment here. So we're catching some fish in this, off this grass flat, but we're gonna make just a quick little idle down over here. There's some man-made cribs in the water that they act as fish attractors. Both largemouth and smallmouth like to kind of school up around them, and they just use that as a place to feed. So we're gonna go see if we can find some fish off of those. Tyler and I are currently going into our junior year fishing we fish on scholarship for McKendree University. It's a small university just outside of St. Louis in Lebanon, Illinois. And we've both been fishing tournaments for the majority of our lives. We both fished high school, and through high school fishing and fishing the BASS and the FLW high school series, we ended up meeting our coach, our McKendree University coach, and earning scholarships to fish for McKendree. And basically what we do at McKendree is we fish the BASS, the FLW, and the Bass Pro Shops Collegiate Bass Fishing Tours. And we'll go across the nation and we compete against other college students that represent their schools. And there's no divisions or anything like that. It's not an NCAA sport, but that means that we compete against every college nationwide. So we'll go to these tournaments, and there will be 300, 400 other other teams of 2, so like 800 college kids that we're fishing against from all across the country.
Yep. And these last 2 years, actually, being a part of this team, we finished #1 in school of the year both years, so #1 in the nation. And it's honestly been a really big experience for us, I'd say. I mean, I know coming out of high school, I didn't know much about college fishing when I just started. But once I learned I could get a scholarship for it, I was all in. And honestly, it's been life-changing. I've gotten to go all over the country, learn a bunch of different lakes. So it's something that's really great, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Even if you're not one of those top-rank anglers, you're gonna travel because you literally can't send somebody to all of the tournaments that we have scheduled, because at the end of the day, we're also students and we can't be missing all that class. This next spot that we're gonna be fishing is it consists of a bunch of underwater man-made structures that out here we call them cribs. Basically, they're a wooden structure with some rock in the middle. The way that I go about finding these man-made structures is I'll use my side scan, and I'll set it up so that I'm shooting out like somewhere between 160 and 200 feet, and I'll just idle real slow at like 3 miles an hour. And then I'm even marking a few right now. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my Lowrance HCS live unit, and I'm just gonna touch right on that crib on my side scan, and I'm gonna hit my waypoint button and just mark it right there, and that's gonna show up right over here on my map, exactly where that's gonna be, so that it's super simple to just turn around and fish that. Now here's 2 more of them again. So if you wanna see them even better, you're able to just tap on them, zoom in, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. They're just wooden squares, and they have rock in the middle, and those fish will just congregate right around them. And that's how we're using side scan to find these offshore man-made structures. Smallie.
Look at him fighting that beautiful water, man. Gotta love it. Ain't big, but he sure wants to fight. Another one on that plasma tail, a little smallmouth. Hooked right where you want him, right in the roof of the mouth right there. All right, so this is the little rig I'm throwing. It's just your simple drop shot rig. I got a little tiny hook, nose hooked this Biospawn 4.5-inch plasma tail, and I got about a 10-inch leader on the back with a 1/4 ounce tungsten drop shot weight. And again, tungsten, smaller profile, you can feel a lot better, I think, down there. So when I'm around that crib and I'm in those rocks, I can really feel it. But I'm throwing this on a little 7-foot medium light Dobbins Champion Extreme 703, and it's an incredible little drop shot rod. So let's see if we can get some more.
A big help when you're fishing these cribs too is running a Lowrance 0.1 antenna, and that way what that antenna does is it just keeps the nose of your boat pointing straight on your graph, so that you always know what you're pointing at. So like when I'm lining up to fish this crib, I can point my nose right at it, and that way I know that when I'm casting straight off the bow of my boat, I'm hitting it right on that crib.
There's a few here. See if we can get on a few more.
Right off those cribs.
Yep.
There's one.
There you go. Another smallmouth.
Look at how high he's coming out of the water. And they do like to fight. A lot of fun. Got this guy here on a jerk bait. And again, that's just, we were graphing those cribs earlier. You can even see them out there. They're just, these smallmouth especially, they get really territorial up on these northern lakes. Anything that comes by, they'll. How about that? Getting a little bit of mixed species here. Let's see if we can get another one off that. Whoa.
Worst land job in the history of land jobs, but hey, it'll work. There you go. That's a good Lake Geneva smallie right there. They're still up here. Just gotta work them cribs hard enough. Awesome. That was another one on that plasma tail, so. I think with these high skies and no wind, they're just looking for something like on a drop ship today, a little more finessey.
The Lund 2075 Pro V Bass is the perfect boat for any serious angler. One of the things that struck me right away with this boat is the amount of deck space that there is. As you can see, it's got a huge front deck. It's got the whole bass boat design layout. Many bass boats, they have that big front deck, but you don't really get that in the back deck. But as you can see with the Pro V Bass, the back deck is just as large as the front deck. Like back there where Tyler's fishing, he's got all the room in the world. It's awesome for bass fishing, but a lot of the musky guys like that a lot too. You don't have to worry when you're slinging around those bigger baits. Another thing that's really cool about the Pro V Bass compared to a lot of other bass boats is the fact that it's got so much storage. There's not an inch of wasted space in the deck design on this boat. I literally carry everything I own with me everywhere we go, and it's awesome because you don't have to worry about leaving stuff at home. It's always in the boat. Your stereotypical bass boat is just a flat bottom boat that's built for shallow water and speed. Well, you get speed and you get shallow water out of this, but you also get to handle in rough water. I mean, we're running full throttle in wind, rain, everything. It's also got the Lund track system, which is awesome. As you can see, I've got a graph mounted on that back here. It's got a nice live well system. We keep fish all across the country and you never have any issues with any of them dying. It's also got a 50-gallon fuel tank, which comes in handy when you're making long runs or you don't want to have to run to the gas station every time you're getting out on the water. It's really changing the bass fishing industry. I mean, we go down south for these tournaments where everybody's used to the stereotypical bass boat, and they come and they check this out. Next thing you know, they're asking you, well, where can I go to look into one? It's powered by a McKendree 250 Pro XS V8. That motor's just awesome. Pairing that with this boat, the hole shot is amazing. I mean, there's not a boat in the industry that has a better hole shot than this boat does. I get about low to mid 60s out of this boat, and that's just plenty fine to hold me with all the glass boats and all these tournaments we fish. I mean, we hardly ever get past. And at the same time, when the wind's blowing at takeoff or when we're rushing in and it's really windy, we're the ones that are passing people because this Pro V Bass paired with the McKendree Pro XS, it just handles so well. I've loved running it and I definitely recommend it. One tool that we're using to help us catch these schooling fish is the Lowrance Live Sight. The Live Sight is some newer technology. It's actually a forward-facing sonar. It's attached to the shaft of my trolling motor. So by just turning the pedal, I can shoot that forward-facing sonar in the direction that my trolling motor's facing. And for example, if I'm seeing bait fish busting over here, I can point it right at them, and I can see exactly where those smallmouth are set up on them, whether they're right under them, under the surface, or if they're down maybe 10 feet, or if they're locked right on the bottom. Sometimes when the boat gets around them, they'll get spooked, and that's when we're switching from that spook or jerk bait and picking up a drop shot. And here you can see we have some offshore structure right here, and you can literally see the bass sitting right on it. 4 of them right there. See if we can see our drop shot go down to them. See, and you can see the drop shot falling right into them. Look at how they came to check it out. See if we can catch them now. There's one.
Not a bad largemouth. God, I love that clear water. There we go. Not a terrible little largemouth on that drop shot. See, these schooling fish that we're fishing for, a lot of times when they push that bait up, that's when you'll catch them on your top water, but we're seeing them they'll go right back down to the bottom as soon as they come up usually, or if the boat gets around them, I think they get a little bit spooked, so that's when we pick up that drop shot. Works like a charm. Chunky little largemouth. Awesome.
There's one.
Oh, I just had one blow up on mine. Got him. Redoubled. Oh, mine popped, mine popped.
Just a little smallie. Got some schoolers out here. Throwing a jerkbait and a spook at them. Close one. So this is why they're eating that jerkbait. I mean, could you match the hatch any better than that? Literally the exact same size, same color. Perfect.
Got him. Yeah, it feels like an okay one. Actually, probably not, I don't know. Whatever it is, it feels good. I don't know if it's a bass.
It looked like a largemouth when it came
Did
up
it?
before.
Because it's fighting hard. Yeah, I don't know. It is.
Atta boy. That's a big one.
That's the one we've been looking for all day right there. Oh, that's a good Lake Geneva largemouth, and I think that's a pretty good one to end on, really. I mean, we worked all day for that fish. Took a little while, but we knew they were out here. Had to move out really deep to go get them, though, on some offshore gravel bars. Stuck that jig in our hand, and it worked out well.
Heck yeah.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like more information, check out lundboats.com or these other online outlets.